The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party has formally launched his campaign for the 2023 elections from Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital. Arise correspondent Mary Chinda reports.
The PDP 2023 presidential campaign train opened here in the oil-rich state of Akwa Ibom, but not without a first stop to meet with the traditional rulers of the state.
There's no how we could have flagged off our campaign today without coming for the blessing of our traditional fathers. The voice of the fathers are the voice of the Almighty.
To pay our courteous call to this very historic traditional institution. We appreciate your welcome. We already know how warm and friendly the people of Akwa Ibom State are.
On behalf of the Traditional Council, that lets this kick-off exercise from today be a thing that will bring progress, peace, and unity throughout your campaign period.
From there, the campaign team makes its way to the nest of champions in the state capital to a rousing welcome of thousands of party supporters. And the campaign commences in earnest with the host governor, Odom Emmanuel, and others taking a swipe at the ruling APC.
We are standing as men to let Nigerians know what we've done in the past and what we've been doing, how we've maintained peace in the Nigerian.
Speaker after speaker, a frantic effort is made to sell the deliverables of the party.
Nigerians are hungry. Nigerians are suffering from all sorts of sickness. Nigerians cannot move from one point to the other without worry. Nigerians cannot sleep in peace because of insecurity.
And I'm aware that all of us know that there is a challenge in Nigeria. There's a great problem in the land. And we are looking for a rescuer. And the PDP has offered to rescue.
And the presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar woos Nigerians.
We left Nigeria in a state of poverty, insecurity, hunger, lack of education. We lifted Nigeria from the bottom to the top. We became the biggest economy in Africa. We had peace, we had progress. And then Nigerians said they wanted change. They voted for change in 2015. What have we seen? What we have seen is poverty, insecurity, lack of jobs, and disunity. Our children are no longer going to school. Is that what you want to continue with?
The Uyo event was boycotted by Governors Nyesom Wike, Shea Makinde, and Samuel Otom of Benue State. However, as the PDP train departs Akwa Ibom State, some party chieftains reinforced the candidacy of Atiku Abubakar despite deepened internal party crisis.
It is normal for political parties to have these kind of issues. It's a challenge that we're addressing, and we're pretty confident. I'm confident that before we get down the campaign, we will resolve it. It's not a massive problem. It's a problem that we will resolve. We have moved a long way, I can promise you that, and the little that we need to move will be done.
I'm very sure that Atiku Abubakar, out of the current contestants, stands out.
The Waziri Madamawa is the best person
The entire Nigeria
to rescue Nigeria at the present moment.
As the PDP campaign train leaves Akwa Ibom to Kaduna on Wednesday, experts continue to say that resolving internal party crisis is top on the list if the PDP must make a headway in the 2023 elections. From Akwa Ibom State, Mary Chinda, Rise News.
All right, a lot to talk about this one, Dr. Bati. The campaign started in earnest.
Yes, for the PDP. The PDP now has formally kicked off its campaign, as you said yesterday, choosing Uyo, Akwa Ibom State as the setting for that. And of course, the reason for that, obviously, would seem to be the fact that the chairman of the Presidential Campaign Council, Udome Emmanuel, is the governor of Akwa Ibom State. So the party decided that he would be the one to host the leadership of the party and others who had been invited to that event. Without a doubt, from what we have seen and from the reports, in the media, it was a well-attended event at the Nest of Champions International Stadium and Uyo, and it went on peacefully without any untoward incident. The leadership of the party, from the candidate to the governors, used the opportunity to express confidence about the capacity of the party to deliver. Starting with the presidential candidate, we had him, setting his agenda again and reiterating some of the positions he had had in his manifesto titled My Covenant with Nigerians. He talked basically about security, about creation of jobs, about reviving the Nigerian economy, about creating opportunities, and more importantly, about ensuring unity within the country. And he believes, that 8 years of APC has brought the people, no positive progress in his view, and that, bringing the PDP back to power would mean, hope and unity for Nigeria. His running mate, Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, also spoke along the same lines, as did also some of the other governors that were there, including Governor Doyediri and Governor Darius Ishaku of Taraba State, who made a statement on behalf of all the governors that were present at that event. The second thing to note, of course, is that this signaled the fact that, the crisis within the PDP has not yet disappeared, because the Wike camp, as we sometimes refer to them, Governor Wike and his allies, they were conspicuously absent, despite the fact that we pointed out yesterday that one of them had even said, he recognizes Atiku as a presidential candidate, but he thinks that people have the right to express their own grievances and that the party should focus on inclusion rather than any kind of inclusion. But of course, Governor Ifeanyi Ogunanyi was not there. Governor Ikpeazu, was also not there. But we don't know whether they sent representatives, but they were conspicuously absent. The third point that I see in this is that the party will seem to have resolved to move on. The chairman of the party, Iyorchia Ayu, making his point, he said, look, the train has started moving, but they are moving slowly in the hope that those who are not yet, on board the train will join them as they move along. In other words, he's saying, look, he also said, Nigerians are not interested in the rift, personal rifts within the party. They are interested in what the People's Democratic Party wants to do for Nigerians. So we see a party that says, we have problems, but we're moving on. We may have personal risks, but there's no problem. And you can see Governor Ifeanyi Okowa there. He too struck the same notes about confidence, about about hope, and about how the party is in a very good place. Now, the high point, of course, was the fact that the flag, for the campaign or for the race was handed over to Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate, by Senator Iyorchia Ayu. So, which is quite instructive. It's also a way of reaffirming the fact that Senator Iyorchia Ayu is effectively in position and in office as chairman of the party. Now, there was a side event before the campaign. There was a meeting of South-South stakeholders, which was led by Governor Obaseki, Governor Godwin Obaseki, at the Boom Hall, where he met with South-South stakeholders, and his principal message was about how to mobilize members of the party in the South-South, reminding them that in Edo State and also in Osun State, that the party performed very well, and that what they need to do going forward in the South-South is to repeat that victory, deploying technology in what he described as a technical election. Now, one more point about that event in Uyo yesterday was the fact that it has been reported that the Victor Atta International Airport was dominated by an armada of private jets. Well, I don't know whether anybody wants to make any heavy weather out of that. After all, when we were discussing Kenya, we talked about how the politicians were moving about in helicopters for ease of movement. But in Nigeria, politics is being played at a higher level. It was an armada of private jets that stormed but anyway, nobody went there to show off their private jets. It was basically about flagging off the campaign. And I hope that going forward, they will continue to focus on issues, basically.
I mean, Dr. Abati, we have always led the way in terms of big politics. Even the days of Awolowo. I think Awolowo was the first politician to make helicopter stops in this country. Way back leading up to the 59, federal elections, he was making helicopter stops. So, Nigerian politicians have always taken it one notch higher. But good one on the PDP. They finally started their campaign yesterday, pomp and pageantry there in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital. I mean, you did not to be told, the Akwa Ibom State governor is part of the Atiku, campaign, and is pushing real big, and he plays a prominent role in the campaign council. And the PDP looks like they have moved on from the Wike debacle. But the optics was not right yesterday. Out of 13 governors, 5 were out. And this is a party that wants to win a national election. It is a disunited party as we speak. How it's going to wriggle its way out of it, maybe it's going to solve the Wike debacle, time will tell. But one thing is, it has laid its foot on the ground and it has started. Had a successful campaign yesterday. The train moves on to Kaduna. But for me, the messaging. How well are we interacting with the people? How are we going to do the things we promised them to do? He said a lot that we cannot rehash, here. But it's important that it should not just remain at the place of rhetorics. These politicians should actually do what they promise for the people. They should make Nigeria better. Because if Nigeria is better, it will benefit all of us. And Nigeria is more than the selfish interest of anybody. It's not about your selfish interest. It's about the Nigerian people that are suffering. And tell you what, as a politician, the best thing to do is not to have a big fat account after you leave government. The best thing you should do is to live in the hearts of Nigerians, that you have truly done what you promised you will do for them. And I just hope they take a cue from it. But the PDP is moving on, but not moving at the pace it would like to be, because it's been slowed down by the Wike debacle, and we cannot deny it. And the optics isn't looking well for the PDP. Will they be able to muscle? Will these governors that are not here, Governor Ogwani and some other governors, will they even deliver their states for the PDP? That's another big one. Only time will tell most of these things. Also, let's look at the other side. The APC had the inauguration yesterday of their women team at the campaigns. Bola Tinubu did make a statement yesterday, called on them, rallied, and all of that. The next story talks about the campaign council of the women wing of the All Progressive Congress that was inaugurated yesterday. The event, which took place at the presidential villa in Abuja, had in attendance wife of the president, Aisha Buhari, who's the leader of the campaign council, and other top party officials. The party's national women leader, Betta Edu, called on women to embark on door-to-door to street campaign for presidential candidate Bola Tinubu.
I want to tell women, this is a mandate you must deliver. And that's no other person than Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That's the mandate upon which we stand.
Today, therefore, we thank the Almighty Allah for yet another epoch, making history as we meet the inaugurate as we meet to inaugurate the women's presidential campaign team. While men are on the forefront line in the conduct of war, women are certainly the foot soldiers at the electoral battlefield.
You are following the man who knows the way. The sign on this cap is broken shackle. You break the shackle of poverty, break the shackle of ignorance, break the shackle of destitution.
A lot to talk about, Dr. Abati.
Well, while the People's Democratic Party was flagging off its presidential campaign in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, the APC, the ruling party, also had their own event yesterday in Abuja, the inauguration of the Women Campaign Council with the wife of the president as the leader of that campaign council. The president himself, personally, is the leader of the entire campaign, given his position as leader of the party. And it was represented on that occasion by the chief of staff to the president himself, Professor Ibrahim Gambari. So in terms of optics, they try to balance it. And so today in the papers, you see that both PDP and APC, they're sharing the space in terms of the details. And we're likely to see a lot more of that as the campaigns continue. But I was struck by one or two things at that inauguration of the council, the Women Council. Principally, the message delivered on behalf of the president that he had instructed, given a charge to the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice and the Minister of Women Affairs to liaise with relevant institutions and also with the Office of the First Lady to ensure that all constitutional and legal processes are taken to prioritize the participation of women in politics. He admitted that in 2019, that turnout, for women in that election which he won, that was about 40%, 47%. And that if women, turn out en masse like that, then of course they should be given better representation. Now, Mrs. Buhari, in her own speech, also, stressed the importance of women. And hence, the party has tried to come up with this Women Campaign Council that cuts across, all categories. I saw some female journalists on the list, actors and actresses, they are also on the list. So if you look at the composition, it is meant to be all-inclusive, covering different parts of the country, covering different positions. But to react quickly to the point about women participation in politics, let us all be reminded that, look, women are even majorly the ones that come out mostly to vote. Yeah. And Nigeria has had what we call a national gender policy since 2006. That national gender policy has been observed more in the breach. Nigeria's national gender policy provides 35% participation for women in politics, in elective positions, and also in appointments. But if you look at it, in the last assembly, we had just about 9 women or so out of 103 senators, or were they even up to 9? Maybe about, 7 or 9 of them. In the over 300 House of Representatives, we didn't have more than just about 27. So women, are not really represented. Since this return to democracy, only Veggie Etiaba had been governor of a state, and that was because there was crisis in the state, and she was there for only 6 months. Okay, we have had women who have been made deputy governors, but the whole message of it is that there is a national gender policy in place that nobody respects. What we have is tokenism. Other African countries are far ahead of us in terms of gender parity. We have them in Senegal, in South Africa, and also in Rwanda. There's been an effort in putting a gender parity policy, not just in place, but also observing them. Mrs. Buhari made a point that should again be stressed, namely that Nigeria is a signatory to all major international protocols and covenants with regard to women representation. But what we do is just pay, lip service. When it is election time, we ask the women to come out in family attires, as they did yesterday at the APC women event. You can see all of them wearing the same attire. And then, then they campaign. After the campaign, the men dominate everywhere. That has to change.
Yeah.
The second point made by Professor Gambari is that the women should not make the campaign Abuja-centric. They should take the campaign to every part of the country. That makes sense. 8,000 wards, 774 local governments. Then the speech by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Okay, I know it's normal in politics to put down the opposition and promote yourself and say your Mercedes is bigger than the other. But our political leaders should watch their rhetoric. They should eschew hate speech, unnecessary propaganda. That is very important. Otherwise, their followers will take the cue and they too will be promoting hate speech. That's not what we are interested in. We are interested in specific issues and how each of the candidates intends to provide leadership and move the country forward, not empty rhetoric.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Abati. I saw that of the APC yesterday. Yes, they think to have started things, but there are still a lot of problems in the APC. Anyway, they've been able to push aside Mr. Dogara and Babacha Lawal, those that raise strong concerns about the Muslim ticket. Like we've said for the opted time, the decision will be made by the electorates. So we'll wait on the electorates to make their decision if they truly want a Muslim ticket or they want a balancing. His comeback is shaking up most things. He's put his, his verve on the campaign train, gave a speech yesterday to rally his base. Good on him, good on his base. But we are not hearing the ideas. We are not hearing the things that will be done and how. Till date, we have not seen the manifesto of the APC. Except if somebody has seen, maybe they can send it to me. We have not seen. We want to be able to interrogate the ideas put out there. We want to see the slant on the economy. We want to see how they're going to tackle the issue of 119% debt to service ratio. We want to see how they're going to tackle maternal health. Like you said rightly, Dr. Abati, women participate in politics, but we still have very shambolic maternal mortality numbers in this country. We have one of the worst in the world. 1 in 22, the benchmark is, will die after childbirth. It is sad that childbirth is still a major killer of women in Nigeria. We've been talking about the rights of women since the first conference in Beijing in 1995, but nothing has been done. Even the rights of women in their homes, even the rights of women to be able to inherit their husband's property. There are many issues on ground. We want to know what these candidates will do as regards societal justice for women. Nigeria's healthcare system is very poor as we speak today. Over 70% of healthcare payment is still out of pockets. And the question is, we don't hear the candidates talk about this. All we hear is vitriol, abuse of the other candidates. And please, political candidates should not abuse the other candidates. They should spend more time on espousing their ideas. The fact that a lot of people still have out-of-pocket payments in healthcare. The fact that now, I was seeing somewhere now that there's a red alert that some countries don't even want to take our doctors again because we have a massive shortage of doctors in Nigeria. This was the same country somebody said we have more than enough doctors. So those are the issues on ground. This is not the time for fighting or abusing the other person. And this is not the time for lying. And please, we would like to encourage media houses, put disclaimers when these political rhetoric go on because they say a lot of disputable things. Like I heard some people espouse during the rallies. Please. We need a wholesome system. We can truly build this country. Nigeria is the best kept secret. It looks hopeless now, but Nigeria is not a hopeless case, and we can get it right. And these elections will matter.